Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I am doing 50 facts about me, and I'm really happy to do this and excited because I've had this channel for, well, technically about 10 years, but I've only recently started creating more videos in the last 2 years. And I've grown my follower count a little bit, and I'm really happy that you guys are here and that you've subscribed and that you're watching and following along with me. And so I thought that it would be great to just kind of almost do like an introductory 50 facts about me, and I'd love to also hear in the comments a little bit more about you guys as well if you want. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. I was a cheerleader in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in 2010, and it was a huge achievement for me because growing up I watched the parade every year on Thanksgiving, and I always waited to see the cheerleaders. I always thought that it was just a completely impossible dream, and then one year when I was at cheerleading camp, they had everybody try out, and I actually scored high enough to get it. So yeah, I went and performed in the parade, and it just was a huge accomplishment for me back then. I actually was a pageant queen in the Miss America organization. I held the title of Miss White Mountains region, and I competed for Miss New Hampshire. Hence the crown sometimes you see in the background of my videos. I have fine hair, like super fine hair. When you put it in a ponytail, the diameter is the size of a dime, so it's really small and probably a fraction of the size of most girls' hair. My biggest fear ever, besides losing my family or my friends, is spiders. My favorite color is pink, and I know that's brand new, exciting information for you. My favorite food is lobster, and seafood is my favorite type of food, even though I'm a super picky eater, which brings me to my next point. I've never eaten a burger. By burger, I mean hamburger, cheeseburger, like just eaten a burger. I've never had one. I just never thought that I would like it. I never had interest in trying one, so I just never have. I grew up on a lake in New Hampshire, and I have very fond memories of growing up there. My first car was a Volvo XC60, and I cried because I was so upset that it was white. But now I actually really like white cars. At the time, for some reason, I associated it with like Walmart shoppers. I don't know. I've been to 5 out of 7 continents. Antarctica and South America are the 2 that are left, so I think South America will be next on my list. When I was younger, I wanted to be a professional ballerina when I grew up. I was a lifeguard for 2 summers, and I got really tan, and I will gladly tell people that when they try to tell me that I don't get tan because I have pale skin and light eyes and light hair. I have a scar on my nose from when I was 3 years old. I was running and I tripped over a tree root. My nose was basically on the other side of my face. No, it's not a nose piercing. I am not that cool. Just clumsy. I can spell chocolate chip cookie dough flavored ice cream in 6 seconds. CHOCOLATE-CHIPCOKIDOUGHFLABORIEDICECREM. I was once published in American Girl magazine for talking about my allowance when I was a kid, like 10 years old. My favorite movie is called About Time, and not just because Rachel McAdams is in it, but because I think it's a really sweet story. I am infatuated with squirrels. My first CD was Britney Spears' Baby One More Time, and I was really upset because we had a family friend visiting, and we were supposed to record it on a tape, and it didn't record, and I threw a huge fit, and so my parents had to go to the store the next day to buy me the CD. When I was younger, I used to collect Teen Vogue and Cosmopolitan, and it was my dream to work as an editor like in 13 Going on 30 or The Devil Wears Prada. I have a to-do list for when I'm at work, and I have a to-do list for when I get home from work. My favorite ice cream flavor is cake batter from Cold Stone. My boyfriend Lyle and I actually met here in New York City at a bar when we were out one night. I'm really bad at receiving compliments. If you give me one, I'll probably blush and not receive it well and put myself down again. In 3rd grade, I scored in the 99th percentile for my essay in a standardized test. I got stuck in an elevator for 2 hours in the islands, and I'm oddly scared of elevators now. I never learned how to play an instrument because I had my heart set on the flute, and my band teacher said that all of the flute positions were taken and I could only do the clarinet, and I was not about to do the clarinet, so I just never learned one. I dated my first boyfriend for only 2 hours because after I said yes, he walked up to a table full of boys and said, "Guess what? I'm dating Taylor!" And they all cheered, and it made me so uncomfortable that I broke up with him. Poor guy. I studied abroad in Auckland, New Zealand, and it was the best choice I made in college. While I was abroad, I went both skydiving and bungee jumping, and I'm so proud of myself because those are 2 things that I was very afraid to do and thought that I would never do in my lifetime. The most expensive thing I own is my Chanel handbag, and I got it at a pretty heavy discount. I'm 5'7" 3/4", so depending on who I'm talking to or what the situation is, I can either say I'm 5'7" or I can stretch and say I'm 5'8". I never really went to a real concert until I was in my early 20s, and it was Ellie Goulding. I worked for the makeup brand Glossier for 6 months as a showroom editor, and I absolutely loved that job and had an amazing experience. I don't drink any soda, but I love soda water, preferably San Pellegrino. I've wanted to make YouTube videos since I was 14, and I was watching YouTube, and I first discovered some of the OG YouTubers like Purse Buzz, Juicy Star 07, All That Glitters 21, back in the time of like muffins and shoes, oh my god, shoes, and the Dramatic Chipmunk, and all of the wonder that YouTube used to be. I don't really like drinking alcohol. Don't get me wrong, I do go out with my friends and I have fun, but I don't like putting the unnecessary poison in my body. But when I do drink, it's preferably wine or champagne. I actually can't burp, and I haven't burped since I was a baby, and I know people are going to be like, oh, okay, sure, but really, truly, I don't know how. My mom claims that she burped me as a baby, but since then, I have not burped. I have very vivid dreams, and sometimes I can remember what I dreamt about, what happened, who was in it, how I felt, for days or weeks later. My favorite Disney princess growing up was Ariel because I grew up on a lake and I would swim and I would pretend I was her. And I also love Cinderella because of course. When I was growing up, I did 3 sports at a time: dance, gymnastics, and cheerleading, and I would get really frustrated by other kids in my school who would say, oh, I'm a tri-sport athlete, because they were doing different sport each season. But I was doing all 3 sports at the same time all year long, and I was in way better shape than any of them, so take that, you soccer players. When I was growing up, my dream was to be prom queen, but I placed on prom court, which is still pretty great, and I'm very proud of that accomplishment. I'm a very awkward person, and I'm really bad at dealing with awkward situations. So if it's me and another awkward person, the situation is just doomed. I hate sharing food, and it's a pet peeve of mine if people want to share popcorn at the movie theater, because I feel like I can't just eat it in peace. I'm a super honest person, and not in the way of like, oh, I tell it like it is, but more so if I feel like something makes me uncomfortable or something isn't right, I have to admit to it right away. I tried being vegan for 6 months, and I felt really healthy and really great when I was doing it, but I just couldn't keep up with the hassle of not eating meat and cooking every night, and also the expensive price of all of the produce and all of the groceries. I'm actually really good at Mario Kart, and no one can beat me at Koopa Troopa Beach. I have a huge sweet tooth, and I am a sweet over savory always. I had my first job when I was 14 or 15, and it was a bus girl at my parents' restaurant. So I started out bussing tables, and then I moved to a hostess and then a waitress, and I was never good at any of it. I live in the Northeast where it is freezing cold for majority of the months out of the year. However, I am happiest in warm weather. One of my biggest dreams as an adult is to make enough money and be successful enough in my own career and based on something that I built, and then build a beautiful house and live in it, because I think that would be really cool. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video and learned some interesting things about me. I would love to hear some interesting things about you as well, so please leave a comment on what you thought and if you are similar to me in any of these facts. And I'm really excited to continue this channel and to continue connecting with all of you guys, so hopefully I will see you in the next one. Alright, bye!